And here's a few more examples of imaginary numbers, and microphone close to me. And so the very first step when you're looking at imaginary numbers is we can't treat them like real numbers until we've pulled the I out. That means that this guy and this guy have to be pulled out from under the radical before we can do anything else. So we aka pull the I out for every single thing. So there's no I here, so that's just the square root of 16. There is an I here, so we say minus I square root of 36. Then here, minus the square root of 25, right? There's no I here, but there is an I here because it's got a negative under the radical, plus I square roots of 16. Then we simplify the radical. Radicals in this case. So this will be 4 minus 36 is 6, so minus 6I. We treat I like a variable now, that it's just kind of hanging out. So minus 5, and the square root of 16 is 4, so B plus 4I. We add like terms. So we have 4 minus 5, or negative 1, and 6, negative 6I plus 4I is minus 2I. And this is what we call A plus BI form, right? You put the real number first that doesn't have an I, and then you put all the I terms together. Okay, so let's do that again. So first thing you do always is pull the I out. No matter what. Always, always, always your first step. So you have the square root of 144. Again, that background noise is a dinosaur documentary. So this does have an I, so I want to make sure we take that out. The square root of 90 plus square root of 16. That doesn't have an I in it. This one does. Now, these are all not perfect squares. Okay, so we're going to simplify our radicals. The square root of 144 is 12. So the square root of 90, well, 90 is, let's see here. We've got 90, that's 2 and 45, 5 and 9, 3 and 3, 3 and 1. So you have a group of 3's, and you're left with 10 under the radical. So minus 3I square roots of 10 plus 4 plus I square roots of 10. Now, here's the thing about imaginary numbers. Let's see if I can find another pen that works here. Oh. We now treat this like a variable, okay? So I have 3 green rectangles plus 1 green rectangle. I now have, minus 3, I now have negative 2 green rectangles. So we treat that entire thing as if it were a variable. Don't forget 12 plus 4 is 16. So this is our answer, right? When we multiply, the first step of pulling the I out is the same. We have to make sure we pull the I out, no matter what. It is the ultimate first step. So then we get 6I square roots of 54. Negative 5, there's no I, so then we multiply quote-unquote like terms, 6 and negative 5, right? Those are the coefficients out front. Let's go ahead and multiply them. So that's negative 30, I times no other I, so I just comes along for the ride. And then we have square root of 54 times 7. So let's get our calculators out here. Sorry, mine wasn't up. And 54 times 7. By the way, if you do have an Android, this is the Wabbits EMU app. It's free, but it only works for Android. Anyway, so 378. Okay, so the square root of 378. Now, we can break down 378. I know that 7 goes in, and I get 54. And I know that 2 goes in, and I get 27. And I know that 3 goes in, I get 9, 3, 3, 3, 1. I only have one pair of 3's, so it's going to be negative 30i times 3, right? That pair of 3 comes out, times the square root of what looks to be like 42, so 7. I haven't had a lot of coffee yet today, so I'm just going to double check that. Clear. Let me see. 14 times 3. 42. So negative 30 times 3 is negative 90 I square roots of 42. Okay, so these ones are not easy. So let's do one more and make sure we got the hang of this. The very first thing is you want to pull the I out, no matter what. Always, 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 always. Okay, so 6 square roots of 5 times negative, let's just write negative 1 to make sure that we know that that's just a negative 1. I, right, that square root of negative underneath the radical, that's an I times the square root of 10. Okay, and then we're going to multiply our like terms, right? So we have 6 times negative 1 gives me negative 6, just one I, no I here, so it's just I. And then we have the square root of 5 times 10, or 50. When we break down 50, 5 goes into 25, 5 times. We get a group of 5's, and we're left with a 2. So this is negative 6i times 5 square roots of 2. So negative 6 times 5 is negative 30. The I comes along for the ride, times the square root of 2. Okay, so hopefully that you can use this as a guide. Please let me know if you need anything else.